Every time she provokes you, she's not trying to hurt you. She's trying to see if she can trust you. And most men fail the test. She doesn't test you out of malice. She does it by nature, by instinct, for survival. She wants to know who you are when things don't go her way. She wants to see if your calm is real or if it crumbles at the first jolt. A woman isn't just looking for physical protection. She's looking for emotional stability. She wants to feel that the man next to her won't crumble when tension arises, and so she provokes you, challenges you, tests you, sometimes with a word, sometimes with silence, sometimes with a gesture that seems innocent but is actually a hidden question. Can I trust you when my most chaotic side comes out? You think she's disrespecting you. In reality, she's reading you. She's deciphering your reactions. And every time you lose your temper, every time you try to defend yourself, every time you try to prove you're right, you give her the answer she fears, that you're unstable. A man's strength isn't seen when everything is calm. It's seen when someone tests him. And a woman, knowingly or not, will always test what she hasn't yet understood about you. Not to destroy you, but to understand your worth. Every test is a hidden question. Every provocation is a test. And you, every time, have two choices. React like a boy, or respond like a man. The boy reacts. He gets offended, defends himself, fights back, because he believes everything revolves around the ego. The man, on the other hand, responds, not with words, but with presence. He stays calm. He looks. He listens. He smiles, and lets the storm pass by itself, because he's understood one simple thing. He who stays calm sets the pace. A woman respects you not because you dominate her, but because you don't let yourself be dominated. She admires you not because you respond in kind, but because you don't need to respond to everything. She doesn't desire you because you correct her, but because you don't lose your composure even when she loses hers. Most men fail here because they interpret tests as attacks, but they're not. They're opportunities. Every test is a door. If you react, you close it. If you stay present, you open it. She wants to see if there's substance beneath the surface, if you're just charm or also structure, if your voice is just calm or also control, if your gaze is just firm or also aware. Many men complain, why does she always provoke me? Why is she never calm? The truth is, she only becomes calm around a man who never loses it. She doesn't want to hurt you, she wants to trust. And trust doesn't come from words, it comes from observation. She observes how you react when you feel doubted, when you feel ignored, when you feel hurt. She observes if you seek revenge, if you raise your voice, if you distance yourself out of pride, or if you remain calm as if nothing could truly move you. The difference between a common man and a Stoic is that the former gets offended. The latter understands. He understands that behind every test there is fear, and he responds with firmness, not anger. He doesn't punish her, he doesn't judge her, he doesn't chase her. He looks at her and calmly makes her understand that she doesn't need to react. Calm is the language that speaks to the deepest part of a woman, the part that doesn't trust easily, the part that fears abandonment, but provokes it, the part that seeks stability, but questions it to see if it's real. And you, if you want to be respected, must understand that you can't explain your strength to her. You must show it, not in words, but in control, not in speeches, but in tone, not in distance, but in the calm presence that says, you can test me all you want, I won't lose my center. When she tests you, she doesn't want a perfect man. She wants a man of integrity, one who feels everything but doesn't let himself be overwhelmed, a man who looks her in the eyes and doesn't change his expression, a man who, even under pressure, maintains his clean energy, his voice low, his breathing slow. Male calm isn't coldness, it's domination. And domination, when it's true, doesn't need words. There are 7 responses a woman doesn't expect, and which completely disorientate her. 7 mental and behavioral attitudes that destroy every attempt at emotional control without even having to argue. Because they're silent responses. Responses that aren't spoken. They're embodied. The first is strategic silence. When she tries to provoke you with a joke, a cold tone, an ambiguous phrase, you don't respond immediately. You pause, you breathe, and you look at her as if her words have just lost importance. In that instant, she's disoriented. Because every test needs a reaction to work. If you don't react, the test goes out. Silence is like a blade that cuts through every toxic dynamic, because it shows control, and control is what she seeks. Not because she wants to be dominated, but because she wants to feel safe. She wants to know that next to you, the world can explode, and you will remain still. When you respond calmly, you are not challenging her. You are reassuring her. You are telling her wordlessly, "You can push as hard as you want, I will not fall." And that's when the magic happens. Testing turns into respect. Provocation becomes curiosity. Chaos becomes admiration. Because a woman is not attracted to conflict. She is attracted to those who can dominate it. The man who doesn't give in to reaction immediately becomes a different figure. He is no longer predictable. He is no longer emotionally accessible in the way she expected. And this affects her. It confuses her. But deep down, it reassures her. Because she feels that with you, for the first time, she no longer has to be the one controlling everything. This is the starting point. Understanding that behind every test there is not hate, there is research, and that your calm is not a weapon against her, but a message to her. You can trust me. This is where it all starts. From the 7 answers that are not said, but lived. 7 ways of being, of looking, of reacting, that disorientate anyone who tries to take away your peace. And the first step is always this: stop reacting. Because he who doesn't react wins without a fight. Silence is the first response that disorientates her. Because in silence she can't control you. She can't read you, she can't predict you, she can't orient you. Every word you don't say becomes an enigma. And enigmas are more attractive than explanations. Most men fall into the first mistake, responding immediately, explaining themselves, defending themselves, reacting. Every time you do so, you give her power, because you're telling her that her words have touched you, that you're reactive, that your balance depends on her. But when you remain silent, you take away her leverage, you take away her control, and you don't do it to punish her. You do it to maintain your centeredness. Silence isn't absence. It's focused presence. It's as if you were saying, "I heard, but I don't need to respond." And this energy completely changes the dynamic. Because a woman can fight against words, but she can't fight against emptiness. Emptiness forces her to listen to herself, to reflect, to ask herself if she's overreacted, to ask herself what you're thinking. And the more you don't respond, the more her mind starts looking for you. You're not playing games, you're just protecting your energy. Because those who speak to defend themselves lose strength. Those who remain silent to observe conserve it. There's a type of silence that communicates more than 1,000 sentences. The calm, firm one, which conveys not anger, but mastery. It's not closed off, it's authority. It's saying without saying, "I don't need to convince you, I know who I am." This type of silence isn't born of detachment, it's born of self-control. And self-control is magnetic, because in a world where everyone reacts, those who remain still automatically become different. Think about the last time someone provoked you. You remained silent, but inside, your heart was screaming. That silence wasn't peace, it was held in tension, and you could feel it, because true silence isn't holding back, it's no longer needing to hold back. The difference is enormous. Forced silence is a wall, conscious silence is a mirror. One repels, the other reflects. When she tests you and you remain in conscious silence, you're not defending yourself. You're showing her who you are. You're showing her that you can be in discomfort without having to fill it. That you can look at the storm and not run away. This disorients her because most men can't do that. Most speak out of fear, to fill it, to explain, to control. You, on the other hand, Stay. You breathe. You watch her as she tries to understand. And in that silence, something is born that you can't fake. Respect. Because respect is born when someone shows you they're not afraid of you. And the woman feels it. She feels that there's a man in front of her who won't let himself be dragged into chaos. And chaos, next to a man like that, loses its power. Silence works because it breaks the rhythm of the game. Every female test has a script. She says something to see how you react. If you get angry, she's in control. If you justify yourself, she's in control. If you chase her, she's in control. But if you stay calm, if you don't fall into the rhythm, the script breaks. And whoever breaks the rhythm leads the dance. Many men fear that silence might seem like indifference, but the truth is that how you experience it changes everything. If your silence is cold, it can be felt. If it's calm, it feels like strength. And women, even without understanding how, sense it in her tone, her breathing, her gaze. When she says something to sting you, a joke, a comparison, a veiled criticism, stop for a second. Don't respond. Look, not with anger, but with that calm that says, I heard. I'm choosing whether it's worth responding. That second's pause is worth more than 1,000 explanations, because the pause is the boundary. It's the difference between the man who reacts and the man who decides. And every time you choose to pause, you're training your mind to mastery. Silence isn't just useful with her. It's useful with everything, with life, with work, with fear. It serves to remind you that not everything deserves your energy, that not everything needs a response, that not every provocation deserves attention. The man who responds to everything empties himself. The man who knows when to be silent fills himself. And this fullness is felt. It's seen in his eyes, in his voice, in his body. It's an aura that says, I'm here, but you don't decide who I am. The Stoic lives in this state, not because he's cold, but because he's selective. He knows that true strength lies not in fighting everything, but in choosing what's worth fighting for. When a woman meets a man who doesn't let himself be dragged along, her instinct changes. From testing him, she moves to respecting him. From provoking him, she moves to observing him. Because her subconscious recognizes that she's faced with something rare: stability. Silence isn't just the first response that shocks her. It's also the first one that reassures her, because it tells her that she doesn't have to keep everything in balance, that she can finally relax, that she can be feminine next to a man who doesn't react like a child. When she raises her voice and you remain calm, you're not weak. You're demonstrating the highest form of power, because power doesn't shout. Power watches, listens, and decides when to speak. There will be a moment when you try to use silence and feel the need to fill it. It's normal, because silence lays bare insecurity. But if you resist, if you remain in that space without fleeing, silence will become your ally. It will become your force field, your invisible shield. And from then on, nothing will truly be able to touch you, because calm can't be improvised. It's built, silence after silence, breath after breath, look after look. Every time you choose silence instead of reacting, you are training your power. Every time you choose presence instead of defense, you are becoming stronger. Every time you choose calm over ego, you are becoming that man who can no longer budge. And in that moment, when she looks at you and realizes that her test no longer works, that her words don't move anything, that her silence doesn't agitate you, she'll understand that she's dealing with a different man. A man who doesn't react because he has nothing left to prove. And that's when everything will change. The test will transform into respect, the tension into attraction, and the silence, that same silence that previously confused her, will become the thing that calms her. Because in today's world, full of noise and reactive men, true silence is the most powerful voice of all. There's a power that few men understand. The ability to remain ironic when provoked. Not the sarcastic irony, not the hurtful kind. Calm irony, the kind that comes from dominance, not ego. Because you see, when she tests you, She wants to touch your sensitive spots. She wants to see if you take everything too seriously, if your pride is fragile, if your self-esteem depends on her gaze. And calm irony is the answer that dismantles every test, because it shows a precise truth. Nothing scares you. The man who knows how to smile in the face of provocation isn't superficial. He's centered. Because to smile in the midst of fire, you must first have been through it. And when you have been through it, you understand that life is too short to react to everything. Calm irony isn't a defense. It's a sign of power. Because those who can joke in the face of chaos don't do it to escape. They do it to demonstrate that chaos no longer dominates them. She says something scathing to you. Are you always so calm, or do you not care about anything? The boy is offended. The man smiles and replies in a firm voice, only important things. And then he's silent. In a second, you've turned everything upside down. You responded, but you didn't react. You maintained control, but you did it lightly. You showed that your value is not in question, and you did it without defending yourself. Calm irony is like a subtle art. It works because it diffuses tension. A woman provokes you to create emotional movement. She wants to feel something. She wants to see if she can make you waver. But when you respond with irony, her energy hits a soft wall. It can't penetrate. It can't win. And instead of creating conflict, you arouse curiosity. She stops. She looks at you. She smiles. And in her gaze, there's a new question. How can you remain so lighthearted in front of me? Because calm irony is the signature of someone who isn't afraid of being misunderstood. You don't try to appear perfect. You don't try to correct her. You don't try to appear more mature. You remain yourself, but with elegant detachment. It's the same energy of someone who, faced with an attack, responds with a half smile and a surprising quip. Are you really convinced you're still touching me? Said calmly, in a low voice, not to hurt, but to show how untouchable you are. And in that moment, she understands. You're not there to win. You're there because you choose to be. And a man who chooses rather than reacting is always a man in control. Many men think that being serious is a sign of strength, but constant seriousness is just another form of fear. Those who are truly strong aren't afraid to be lighthearted. They aren't afraid to smile. They aren't afraid to show that nothing can take away their peace. Calm irony communicates confidence, and confidence communicates masculine power. Because a man who knows how to laugh at himself can no longer be manipulated. You can't make someone who has stopped defending his image feel inferior, and a woman, faced with this, is left disoriented. Because her strongest weapon, provocation, no longer works. And where there is no control, respect is born. There's a way to use calm irony without ever crossing the line. Remember that its purpose is not to hurt, but to refocus. You don't use irony to prove you're superior, but to show that you're not shaken. It's a subtle but fundamental difference, because women always sense intention. If your irony is a weapon, it will close. If your irony is serenity, it will open. Here's an example. She says to you, "You think you're perfect, don't you?" The common man replies, "No, but at least I don't do what you do." You don't. You smile slightly, look at her, and say, "Perfect, no, but calm, yes." And then you're silent. The end. No explanations, no war. Just calm. And that calm is what takes away all her power. Because calm irony is like a slow dance. You don't raise your tone. You don't raise your gaze. You don't increase the pace. You always keep it. And whoever commands the pace commands respect. Women test your energy, not your words. And if your energy remains light, you disarm them. Because conflict cannot survive in a field where lightness reigns. But be careful. Calm irony is not a game. It's an art form born of internal balance. You can't use it if you're agitated inside, because then it will come across as sarcasm, not calm. The difference is palpable. A man at peace uses irony as a tool, not as a shield. He doesn't have to prove anything, so he can laugh at everything, even himself. And when you can laugh at yourself, no one can humiliate you. You've stripped the ego of its last weapon, and without ego, you're free. Calm irony is what transforms attack into connection, because it breaks the rhythm of tension and transforms it into play. It makes you a different presence, strong yet light, decisive yet not rigid, masculine yet welcoming. And this type of energy is unforgettable, because it's rare. In a world of reactions and resentments, a man who responds lightly is like an oasis in the middle of the desert. The truth is, a woman tests you not to destroy you, but to see if she can relax next to you. And when she realizes she no longer has to walk on eggshells because you're not reacting to every word, she lets go. And at that point, there's no more conflict, there's play. And in play, power becomes balance. You don't try to win. You don't try to dominate. You simply stay. Calm, still, smiling. And she, without realizing it, begins to follow you. Calm irony isn't just a way of speaking. It's a way of life. It's knowing that nothing is so serious as to steal your peace. It's looking at life, its provocations, its disappointments, and saying, "All right, I'm still here." The man who knows how to smile in the fire is the man who has learned everything it takes to be free, because a smile, when born of calm, is the highest form of disobedience to pain. And when you learn to respond like this, you not only disarm people, but you free yourself. Because every time you choose calm irony over reaction, you are saying to life, "You can't touch me anymore." There are moments when words aren't necessary, when strength isn't expressed through the voice, but through the gaze. The gaze is the oldest and most underrated weapon a man possesses, not because it needs to be intimidating, but because it is the window of calm. Most men lower their gaze when tested, not physically, but energetically. They look away, justify themselves, close themselves off, as if asking permission to remain present. And in that instant, the woman understands everything. That your calm is fragile, that your trust is conditional, that you feel judged. A wavering gaze is like a crack in glass, small but evident. And those who know how to observe notice it immediately. But the steady gaze, the one that doesn't try to win, that isn't aggressive but solid, is a language in itself. It is the communication of a man who has nothing to hide, because the gaze doesn't lie. You can fake the words, you can control the tone, but you can't fake the calm that emanates from the eyes. A steady gaze says, "I understand, and I don't need to react." He says, "You can tell me whatever you want, but you won't move me." He says, "I don't need to prove anything to you," and that is true silent authority, not imposed, not forced, natural. When she tests you and you respond only with a calm look, something happens that you can't explain with logic. The atmosphere changes. Time seems to slow down. She loses her rhythm, because a steady gaze isn't a reaction, it's a presence. In a world where everyone tries to have the last word, you are the man who doesn't need it. And this, psychologically, is devastating. Because a woman feeds on your emotional response. It's her compass. It helps her understand how much control she has over you, how much she can influence you, how much you really care. But when you remain there, present, silent, stable, you give her no signal. And in that void, she gets lost, because she no longer knows what to expect. And where there is no more expectation, respect is born. A steady gaze works like silence. The more authentic it is, the more powerful it is. But it must be real, not put on. A fake calm gaze is just a wall. A truly calm gaze is the abyss. Anyone who encounters it feels it, because they find not opposition, but depth. It is the gaze of someone who has walked through her own shadows and is no longer afraid of them. Of someone who has stopped defending herself, because there is nothing left to defend. Of someone who looks the world in the eye and says, without saying anything, "I am here. You can test me all you want, you won't break me." When she looks at you, trying to provoke you, expecting you to react, and you observe her calmly, something inside her changes. Because for the first time, she feels the difference between the man who responds with anger and the one who responds with presence. Anger pushes her to defend herself. Presence pushes her to trust, because the steady gaze is an implicit promise. I won't lose control, not even when you lose it. And this is what a woman truly seeks, even if she will never admit it openly. Not a man who responds in kind, but one who remains steadfast. Because if you remain steadfast, she feels she can finally rest. The world judges her, people misunderstand her, men desire or fear her. But next to you, if she sees calm in your eyes, she can be all that she is, without fear of destroying you. And you don't have to say anything, you just have to be there, with that gaze that doesn't react, that doesn't collapse, that doesn't analyze. A steady gaze isn't a challenge, it's stability. It's proof that you've learned to master your impulses, that your energy is centered, that your mind is clear, that your strength is calm. Many men look with anger, others with desire, few with presence. But it's only presence that creates respect. Anger divides, desire consumes, presence unites. The Stoic looks and listens. He observes the details, understands the intentions, but never reacts, because he has learned that every impulsive movement is a surrender of energy. When you learn to look without reacting, you see everything. And whoever you see truly sees you. There will come a time when she will use her gaze to test you. She will stare at you, perhaps coldly or defiantly. Many men bend, turn away, laugh nervously. Not you. You remain, not rigidly, calmly, because power is not in tension. It is in unwavering calm. Visual calm is the highest form of energetic mastery. It is saying, I'm not trying to win, but I will not lose myself. And that's where she surrenders, even if only for a second. Not to you, but to your energy. Because respect isn't born of control. It's born of consistency. And a coherent, calm, honest gaze is worth more than 1,000 speeches. He who looks without fear transmits security. He who looks without judgment transmits peace. He who looks without need transmits freedom. And freedom is what everyone, even those who test you, desperately seeks. When you learn this third response, you no longer need to raise your voice, argue, or explain yourself. Just look, breathe, and stay. Because he who knows how to remain visually present wins without doing anything. Not by cunning, but by naturalness. The calm in the gaze is like a beacon in the darkness. It doesn't shout, it doesn't move, but it guides. And he who is lost, even if he doesn't admit it, will always end up returning to that light. A man's voice reveals his truth, not his words, but the way he pronounces them. It's the dividing line between he who speaks to react and he who speaks to lead. Between he who speaks to be heard and he who speaks because he has something to say. A woman may not remember what you said, but she will always remember how you said it. The tone, the rhythm, the calm. Because your voice is pure energy, and that energy speaks volumes even when you're silent. Many men think they have to raise their voice to gain respect. That firmness lies in volume. That authority comes from sound, not control. But verbal calm is the exact opposite. It's compressed force. It's restrained power. It's like the sound of distant thunder. It doesn't need to explode to be heard. When she tests you, listen to your tone, not your words. You can say the most intelligent thing in the world, but if your voice trembles, if it rises, if it accelerates, you've already lost. Verbal calm is like a blade. It cuts, but silently. You don't raise your tone, you don't change it. You speak softly, clearly, slowly, like someone who isn't afraid to waste time, because they know that time is on their side. When you speak calmly, you're sending a profound message. I don't need to convince you, and this message is irresistible, because those who don't try to convince always seem to be right. Women sense this energy. It's an ancient instinct. They recognize calm as the signal of command, because chaos only calms down in the presence of someone who is calmer than itself. Imagine a scene. She provokes you. She accuses you, puts you under pressure. She wants to see if you'll lose your patience. You look at her, breathe, and say in a slow voice, "There's no point in raising your voice. I'm already listening." Silence. That sentence is enough, because you haven't reacted. You've taken control, you've slowed down, you've brought the conversation back to your own ground, and in a single instant, everything changes. Verbal calm works because it's contagious. Those who speak slowly force the other to slow down. Those who keep their tone low force the other to lower the volume. Those who don't get agitated transform tension into balance. It's as if you were saying to the other's subconscious, "You can relax because I'm not moving." Many men don't understand that tone is more important than content. You can say no 100 different ways, but only one makes the difference, the calm one. A no said in anger creates resistance. A no said in fear creates confusion. A no said calmly creates respect, because calm is not just a sound, it's an energy field, and anyone who enters it feels it. The Stoic speaks this way, not because he wants to sound wise, but because he's in no hurry to be understood. He knows that words spoken hastily are words that get lost. Those said calmly, however, remain. When you speak calmly, every syllable weighs. Every pause becomes meaning. Every breath becomes power. A woman senses it immediately. She senses that your voice is not a reaction, but a decision. That you're not speaking because you have to, but because you chose to. And whoever chooses when to speak is in control of the scene. Verbal calm is a form of invisible seduction because it conveys security, but also mystery. Whoever speaks softly forces the other to listen better. And when someone has to make an effort to, listening to yourself gives you power. Calm words aren't cold. They're warm, but steady. They're the voice of a man who's seen everything and stopped being dominated by emotions. And if you learn to speak like this, not just in relationships, but in every situation, your life changes. Because people stop listening to what you say and start following what you represent. Verbal calm doesn't come naturally at first. It needs training. It takes awareness. It takes breathing. It takes control. You must learn to slow down when everything pushes you to speed up. To speak softly when you feel the need to shout. To say less when you'd like to explain more. But every time you manage to do so, you're strengthening your inner strength. Because every word held back is energy conserved. Every controlled tone is power gained. Every chosen silence is balance maintained. Remember, he who controls the tone controls the direction, and he who controls the direction never loses. Verbal calm is the response that turns a discussion into a lesson. You don't have to win, you just have to remain above the chaos. It's not a question of intelligence, it's a question of peace, because a peaceful mind is more lucid than 1,000 shouted words. A woman may not say it, but she hears everything. She hears when your voice is agitated, when your energy falters, when your ego speaks out of fear. But she also hears when your voice is calm, when every syllable is stable, when every response is decisive, but not rigid. And that calm disarms her, because it's the only thing she can't control. Over time, you'll understand that verbal calm is a weapon you must never lose. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship, at work, in conflict, or in silence. Those who speak calmly create order in chaos, and order is what everyone unconsciously seeks. When you learn to speak like this, you become the anchor in every conversation. Your voice doesn't compete, it doesn't shout, it doesn't slip. It descends, weighs, and stops. And in that pause, in that low, decisive tone, people sense something that can't be faked. Authority. There's no need to say it. There's no need to impose it. You can feel it, because the man who speaks calmly doesn't try to be listened to. It already is. Many confuse detachment with indifference, but they are two completely different things. Indifference is absence, coldness, closure. Detachment, on the other hand, is presence without dependence. It is being there but not being caught up in the vortex. It is listening to everything, seeing everything, but not being dragged by anything. The Stoic doesn't run away. He stays. but he remains whole. He stays calm. He stays lucid. Because he has learned that control doesn't come from strength, but from not being contaminated. When she tests you, she doesn't want you to disappear. She wants to see if she can drag you into her chaos. She wants to understand if you are capable of remaining stable even while everything around you is moving. An active detachment is the response that most disconcerts her, because it shows that you can be there without being dominated. Being actively detached means not reacting to her tone, but staying focused on what matters. It means not confusing her emotion with yours. It means reminding yourself that every provocation is just a wave, and you are the shore. Many men, when they feel tension, they either shut down or explode. One runs away, the other reacts. The Stoic does neither. He stays, but he remains as an observer, not as a player. Active detachment is pure power, because when you learn not to get sucked into the drama loses its value. When you learn to see chaos as a spectacle, you realize you no longer have to participate to feel alive. It's like watching a movie. It can move you, it can make you think, but you never forget that it's just a movie. Most men, on the other hand, forget that the scene isn't real. They empathize, they get confused, they get lost. That's why they react, because they believe that every line is an attack, that every gesture is a threat, that every test is a war. But it's not. It's just a test. And tests are passed by remaining clear-headed, not by reacting. Active detachment arises from a clear thought. Not everything that happens around me deserves a response. When a woman says something to sting you, you don't have to change your energy. You can stay calm, even curious. You can look at her as if you were studying a painting, not coldly, but with interest. And that calm curiosity disarms her, because every time she raises her tone, she expects you to follow the rhythm. But you don't. You slow down, you stay present, without being drawn in. And when she sees that she can't move you, that she can't drag you into the conflict, something changes. She feels secure, because stability is the strongest sign of male strength there is. Active detachment doesn't mean stopping feeling. It means choosing what touches you and what doesn't. You can't control what she says, but you can control how you react. You can't avoid tests, but you can decide whether to let yourself be touched. Those who react lose control. Those who observe conquer it. Remember, she doesn't test you to hurt you. She tests you to see if you're real. An active detachment is the ultimate proof, because it shows that you're not acting, that your calm is not a mask, but a choice. There will be times when the test will be intense. It will tell you something that strikes you deeply, something that touches your ego, your fear, your vanity. And there you will understand who you truly are. Because if you can remain calm even when everything within you wants to react, you have won the most difficult battle, the one against yourself. Active detachment is a form of love for your energy. It's saying, I will not give anyone the power to make me lose myself. No matter how intense the situation, you remain the center. And the center doesn't move. The Stoic doesn't try to manage the other. He manages himself. And in this way, he automatically manages the situation too, because he who remains calm in the midst of chaos becomes the point of reference for the chaos itself. Others, even without wanting to, begin to follow his rhythm. It's an invisible law. He who controls his own energy controls the field. Many men don't understand it until they experience it. They believe it requires 1,000 words, 1,000 strategies. In reality, only one thing is enough. Don't react. Be present, but not possessed. Involved, but not confused. Attentive, but not anxious. Active detachment is also elegance, because it transmits that lightness that only those who have experienced pain know. You no longer try to change the other. You let them be. You don't try to control the dynamic, you observe it. And the more you observe it, the more you become master of yourself. When she sees you like this, she no longer knows how to test you. Every provocation falls away. In vain. All tension evaporates. Because your active detachment takes away her slack, but it gives her respect. It shows her that she can feel free because you don't need to control her. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to control her, she relaxes and follows you. Because calm attracts. Calm is magnetic. Calm is virile. Being actively detached means mastering your inner space. It means knowing you can be with anyone without ever ceasing to be yourself. It means being able to love without becoming dependent. It means being able to argue without hating. It means being able to lose without feeling defeated. It's freedom, and freedom is irresistible. When you learn active detachment, you no longer get angry because someone provokes you. You feel sorry for those who still have to provoke to feel alive. And you smile, not with arrogance, but with compassion, because you already understand. The real man is not the one who closes himself off. He's the one who remains open but untouchable, who feels everything but doesn't let anything hurt him, who looks, understands, and then chooses whether to respond. Active detachment is the fifth answer that disorients her because it elegantly disarms her. You don't fight it, you don't ignore it, you don't judge it. You remain present, and your presence is enough. And when your presence is enough, you have reached the highest level of male power, the one that no longer has to prove anything because it is already everything. Most men change depending on who they are talking to. With a woman, they speak one way, with a friend another. Alone, they are one person. In company, they become another. They adapt to be accepted, to be liked, to avoid conflict. But every time you adapt to be accepted, you sell a piece of your strength. Consistency is a form of power that cannot be bought, cannot be taught. It must be embodied. It quote as saying, "This is who I am, and this is who I remain, everywhere." Not out of pride, but out of identity. The woman who tests you isn't looking for a perfect man. She's looking for consistency. She wants to know if you really are who you say you are. She wants to see if your calm is constant, or if it disappears when things get complicated. She wants to understand if your balance is real or just a momentary act of control. And consistency is the most disconcerting response of all, because the world is full of men who shape-shift out of fear of losing. But not you. You stay the same, not in the sense that you don't evolve, but in the sense that you don't betray yourself. You don't react differently depending on the tone. You're not kind only when it suits you. You're not calm only when everything is going well. Your energy is stable, the same for better or for worse. And that stability has a devastating effect. It takes the test's power away, because the test thrives on change. It only works if you react. But if you're consistent, if your response is always calm, always firm, always clear, the test dies down by itself. Unwavering consistency is what separates the male from the male. The male reacts to the environment. The male creates the environment. The male adapts to the moods of others. The male sets the tone, and whoever sets the tone also sets the direction. The woman senses it immediately, not so much from the words, but from the rhythm, from the consistency with which you move, from the serenity with which you respond, from the predictability of your calm. Predictability not in the sense of monotony, but in the sense of reliability. Being predictable in your calm means becoming a fixed point, a safe haven, a stable presence in a world that changes every day. When she understands that she can predict your calm, that you don't have to prove your strength every time, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, she respects you, because she no longer needs to test you. She's already understood that you won't change out of fear, that you won't implode under pressure, that you won't make a scene out of pride, that you won't use anger as a weapon. And then, for the first time, she feels truly safe. Not physically, emotionally. And that emotional security is the foundation of respect. Unwavering consistency is the sixth response that disorients her, because she can't manipulate it. She can't predict it. She can't alter it. She can only recognize it. When your words and actions coincide, you become a code. And the code, once established, isn't up for discussion. It's respected. Many men talk about values, but forget them at the first hurdle. They talk about calm, but lose their minds as soon as they're ignored. They talk about strength, but seek validation every time they feel unseen. This creates dissonance, and dissonance is the opposite of strength. But the consistent man doesn't. He says little, does a lot, always maintains the same tone. He doesn't get flustered, he doesn't change position depending on the attention he receives. He doesn't play who speaks last. He speaks when necessary, then returns to silence. And that consistency, day after day, becomes legendary. Because we don't forget the man who is always the same, even when everything changes. The world calls him cold. But he's not cold, he's constant. And consistency frightens those who live on fleeting emotions. Because consistency is truth, and truth cannot be negotiated. Consistency is also the highest form of freedom, because you no longer have to remember how to behave. You no longer have to adapt to every person. You no longer have to put on an act. You are yourself, always, everywhere, with everyone. And this creates peace, because the mind that doesn't change shape doesn't tire, and the calm that doesn't need to pretend isn't broken. A woman can test you in 1,000 ways, but she can do nothing against your consistency. She can only observe it, respect it, and slowly adapt to your rhythm. Because consistency is contagious. Those around you begin to mirror it. They begin to feel calmer, more stable, more secure. And you become the point of balance in a relationship. Not through control, but through constant presence. A consistent man doesn't need to make promises. His consistency speaks for him. And a woman, even if she doesn't say it, feels she can trust what remains the same every day. When you learn this lesson, your energy changes. You no longer seek to surprise. You no longer seek to impress. You simply exist. And anyone who isn't ready for that calm walks away. But those who are, stay. Unwavering consistency is the quality of silent leaders. Those who promise nothing but deliver everything. Those who don't react but decide. Those who don't shout, but when they speak, their words stick. And when you become like this, you no longer need to defend yourself from anything, because your very presence becomes a defense. Your very character becomes a boundary. Your very calm becomes a message. Unwavering consistency isn't spectacular. It's discreet. But that's precisely why it lasts. Because it doesn't seek attention, it gets it naturally. And in a world where everything changes every second, stability is the true rarity. And what is rare is always respected. When you reach this level, tests no longer scare you, because you've understood that they aren't proof against you, but mirrors that reflect who you are. And every time you remain consistent, you're telling yourself, I will never lose myself to anyone. And in that silent promise lies your true greatness. Emotional control doesn't mean not feeling emotions. It means not letting emotions make decisions for you. It's the line that separates the man who reacts from the man who leads. Many think that being strong means not feeling anything. But that's not control. It's repression. And repression, sooner or later, explodes. The Stoic doesn't repress. He manages. He observes the emotion, recognizes it, understands it, but doesn't allow it to dominate his actions. Emotional control is the ability to remain lucid even when everything inside you screams. It's the art of feeling pain without reacting to it, of seeing the ego stir and choosing not to follow it. When it tests you, it's not trying to destroy you. It's subconsciously trying to understand if it can trust your calm. She wants to see if, when everything heats up, you remain solid. Because if you remain solid, you are predictable. And what is predictable is safe. The man who loses control every time he feels provoked is not dangerous. He is unstable. And instability, even when disguised as strength, does not inspire confidence. True power is not shouting. It is knowing how to stay silent while everything inside you burns. It is being able to breathe while pride wants to react. It is looking at whoever provokes you and saying to yourself, "You won't have me." Emotional control is the invisible pillar of virility. Because a woman doesn't just look at your strength, she looks at how you manage it. She wants to know if your anger commands you or if you command your anger. A man without emotional control is like a ship without a rudder. He may be imposing, but a single wave is enough to capsize him. A man with emotional control, on the other hand, is like a mountain. Storms come, but he doesn't move. The secret is this: you must not eliminate emotions. You must learn to shift your attention. Don't focus on what you feel. Focus on how you respond to what you feel, because the response creates reality. Emotional control is built with discipline, with practice. Every time you feel anger rising and choose not to react, you train. Every time you feel fear and decide to stay, you grow. Every time you feel the need to explain yourself and choose silence, you become stronger. And over time, you realize that emotions are no longer storms, but waves that you learn to ride. They no longer scare you. You observe them, move through them, let them go. Because you know that none of them lasts forever. Women feel this. They sense that you are not at war with yourself. And this is magnetic, because emotional calm is like a gravitational field. Those who are agitated are naturally attracted to those who are not. But be careful. Emotional control must never become apathy. It is not disinterest. It is not closing yourself off. It is the ability to feel everything, but choosing when and how to express it. The man who controls his emotions isn't cold. He's intense, but that intensity is orderly. It doesn't explode, it doesn't overwhelm, it doesn't destroy. It builds. When she provokes you and you remain calm, you're not ignoring her. You're teaching her. You're showing her that love can be stable, that strength can be gentle, that presence can be silent. Emotional control is the only form of strength that reassures. Because a woman isn't afraid of power, she's afraid of unpredictability. And when she understands that your energy doesn't ignite at the first stimulus, that you can remain lucid even in chaos, she trusts you. In that moment, you haven't just passed a test, you've gained something rarer, her emotional tranquility. And that tranquility is power. Because when a woman relaxes next to you, she no longer has to defend herself. And when she no longer has to defend herself, she can truly show herself. This is what emotional control creates. Space. Space for truth, for intimacy, for trust. Many men confuse emotional control with rigidity. But rigidity is fragility in disguise. It's the fear of feeling. True control, however, is flexibility. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to listen without reacting, to accept without giving in. Calm isn't an absence of emotion. It's a conscious choice. A silent declaration that says, I can feel everything, but nothing owns me. And that is true freedom, because as long as your emotions rule you, you're a slave. But when you learn to govern them, you become sovereign. Every time a woman tests you, you have two options: give in to the emotion or master it. And every time you choose the latter, you're telling yourself who you are. Emotional control is the art of remaining human, yet unperturbed, of being full of feeling, yet empty of reaction, of being strong, yet gentle, of being profound, yet simple. When you get to that point, you no longer have to prove anything to anyone, because those who look at you understand it immediately. Your strength isn't loud, yet it's impossible to ignore. And when she understands that, there's no longer any need to win, because you've already won, inside. Every test, every provocation, every studied silence, every cutting remark that seems casual, is never just an attack. It's a hidden question. A question she'll never ask you openly, but one that every man, sooner or later, must learn to hear. The question is, can I trust you? Not in the banal sense of fidelity, but in the deeper sense of stability. Can I trust you when everything is in flux? Can I count on your calm when I lose mine? Can I let my guard down without fearing you'll punish me or ignore me? Every test stems from this question. It's a way to see if you're real, if you're solid, if your balance is truth or fiction. This is why most men fail, because they interpret it as a challenge, not a plea for security. She pricks you, provokes you, tests you, but she doesn't do it to destroy you. She does it to see if you can withstand her chaos, if you can stay there without running away, without reacting, without trying to change her. She wants to know if you're a man who stays or a man who crumbles. If you can contain, don't control. If you can listen, don't run away. If you can love, don't beg. Every female test is a disguised revelation. Behind every harsh word, behind every sudden distance, behind every power play, there's a single truth. She wants to see who you are when no one applauds you. And if you react like everyone else, you become one of many. But if you remain yourself, you become the anchor she's never met. The real man doesn't try to avoid tests. He welcomes them. He recognizes them for what they are. Tools to strengthen his calm. Opportunities to prove, not to her, but to himself, that nothing can move him. Every time she ignores you, she's asking you, will you follow me even when I don't pay attention? Every time she contradicts you, she's asking you, will you stay calm even when I don't agree with you? Every time she provokes you, she's asking you, can you love me without reacting to my chaos? And you, if you understand the question behind the form, no longer have to react, because you already know what's really at stake. It's not a battle between you. It's a test of your mastery. Many men interpret this as disrespect. He provokes me, so he doesn't respect me. But respect only comes after you pass the test, not before. Because before respecting you, she needs to know if you can handle her most chaotic side. And if you do, respect becomes natural. The test is just a means to get there. Here's the truth that almost no one tells you. Women don't test your strength. They test your peace. Because strength without peace is unstable. And instability isn't security. It's a threat. Peace, on the other hand, is irresistible. Because it's rare. Because it's hard to find in a world of reactions. Because those who possess it don't need to impose it. Every time a woman tests you, she's not asking for your ego. She's asking for your calm. She wants to see if there's space within you. Space for her, space for conflict, space for vulnerability, space for truth. And if you don't have that space, it doesn't matter how smart or charismatic you are. Sooner or later, she'll lose you. Because what keeps her is not appearances, it's presence. The feeling that, next to you, the world may collapse, but you remain. This is the hidden message behind every test she tries. It's not hate. It's not manipulation. It's fear. Fear of trusting, fear of being hurt, fear of trusting and falling again. And you, if you're truly a man, don't respond to fear with anger, but with stability. With that calm that says, you can go as crazy as you want, I'm not moving. Not out of pride, but out of disciplined love. Disciplined love isn't blind romanticism. It's love with boundaries. Love that doesn't bend, that doesn't get scared, that doesn't get lost. And when she sees this, she no longer needs to test you, because she's found what she was looking for, a man who doesn't run away. The test isn't a threat, it's a door. If you react, you close it. If you stay calm, you open it. Every time you choose not to fall for the game, you're teaching her something. You're teaching her that safety exists, that calm can survive conflict, that strength can be gentle, and that changes everything. Because a woman who understands she's safe naturally becomes softer. She no longer needs to provoke. She no longer needs to test. She no longer needs to control. And all this stems from one thing: your ability not to react. Here's the lesson hidden behind every test. She's not looking for your weak point. She's looking for your anchor. She wants to know where the chaos ends and the man begins. She wants to know if your calm is genuine or just a pose. She wants to know if your presence holds even when you're not understood. And if the answer is yes, you won't have to prove anything to her anymore. Because respect, when born from that calm, becomes eternal. There's a moment when everything reverses. A moment when you stop reacting. When something inside you dies. Not passion, but need. You no longer need to win. You no longer need to explain. You no longer need to convince. You simply stay. And when you stay, the world around you begins to change on its own. Not because you've imposed something, but because your energy has stabilized. Because you've stopped responding to chaos with chaos, to provocation with reaction, to fear with ego. The truth is that women don't react to your words. They react to your energy. And your energy changes completely the moment you understand you no longer have to prove anything. Before, you lived in tension. Every word was a minefield. Every silence was an interrogation. Every distance, a punishment. And you ran, you explained, you tried to fix everything. But the more you tried to fix it, the more things broke. Because the energy of reaction is always weak. It's an energy that says, I'm afraid of losing. And those who are afraid of losing always lose. Then, one day, something happens. You get tired. Not of her, of reacting. You realize that the anxiety to respond, the urgency to explain, the need to be understood, are all invisible chains. And then you stop. Not out of disinterest, but out of clarity. You realize there's nothing to chase, because what's yours doesn't need to be held back. And from that moment, everything changes. She feels it. She senses it. Not in your gestures, but in the energy you emanate. Before, when she provoked you, your energy would stir. Now it doesn't. Now it's still. And that stillness is more seductive than any reaction dot because calm is an emptiness. It's concentrated power. And concentrated power attracts. It doesn't push. It doesn't pull. It simply exists. When you stop reacting, there's no longer any need to control the dynamic. The dynamic rebalances itself. It stops testing you because it no longer finds resistance to break. It stops provoking you because there's no longer drama to fuel. It stops ignoring you because there's no longer any power in doing so. You've taken the oxygen out of the fire. You've extinguished the dance of chaos. You haven't won it. You've transcended it. The real man doesn't try to change the woman. He changes himself, and so everything around him changes. Because when a man becomes solid, everything unstable transforms or disappears. It's a natural law. The more stable energy always dominates the more chaotic one. Not with violence, but with presence. When you stop reacting, you no longer need to talk so much. Your every gesture becomes more intense. Your every word carries more weight. Your every silence communicates power. Because now you're in control, not of the world, of yourself. And he who controls himself controls the dynamics. You realize that many things that previously agitated you no longer have power over you. His silence doesn't frighten you. His tone doesn't hurt you. His words don't destabilize you. Because inside, finally, you are full. And when you are full, you no longer seek to fill yourself through the other. You no longer seek validation. You no longer seek confirmation. You already have everything. And this completely changes the polarity, because a full man naturally attracts. He doesn't ask, he doesn't beg, he doesn't chase, he emanates. And he who emanates leads. The woman senses this immediately, because her energy is receptive, and masculine energy, when calm and firm, becomes like gravity. You can't fight it, you can't avoid it. You can only yield. And that's when the most fascinating thing happens. She begins to follow you without you saying anything. Not because you're dominating her, but because your presence has become a guide. Not because you're controlling her, but because your calm has become direction. Stopping reacting isn't stopping loving. It's starting to love maturely. You no longer try to convince, you try to understand. You no longer try to change, you let things show themselves for what they are. You no longer try to win, because you've already won inside yourself. It's at that point you discover a secret that few men understand. Masculine energy isn't movement, it's stability. It's the fixed pole around which everything revolves. And when you become that pole, you no longer have to move to change things. Things change around you. Silence becomes command. Calm becomes magnetism. Consistency becomes attraction. Your mere presence becomes a message, and she perceives it in her body, not in her mind. She senses that something inside you no longer fluctuates, that you no longer react to every wind, that your energy is no longer available to be manipulated. And that feeling, that firm, present, full calm, is irresistible. Because that's what every woman, deep down, is looking for. A man who doesn't need reassurance to stay. When you stop reacting, you not only change the relationship, you change your inner state. The mental noise fades, emotions become clearer, fear dissolves, and a sensation arises that you've never felt before. Peace. Peace is not emptiness. It is power that doesn't need expression to be real. It's like the calm sea after a storm. It doesn't speak, but its silence commands respect. From that moment, you no longer need strategies. You no longer need answers. You simply need to be present. Because presence, when it's true, is worth more than 1,000 words. This is how masculine energy transforms everything without touching anything. Not with force, but with firmness. Not with fear, but with calm. Not with reaction, but with presence. And when you get there, you realize that nothing can move you anymore. Because you're no longer trying to hold the world back. You've become the center of it. Modern man is afraid of silence. He's afraid of disappearing. He's afraid of not writing, of not being seen, of not being remembered. As if constant presence were proof of love. As if silence were equivalent to abandonment. But anyone who understands the profound psychology of relationships knows that non-contact is one of the most powerful weapons in existence. I'm not talking about ghosting. I'm not talking about the childish game of "I'll ignore you to make you suffer." I'm talking about conscious detachment. The silence that serves to restore balance. The distance that reminds the other who you are. Because when you are always available, when you respond immediately, when your presence is predictable, you are no longer perceived as a choice. You become a foregone conclusion. And constant certainty, even if convenient, never generates desire. Human beings desire what they risk losing. It's an ancient, instinctive, undeniable law. The brain only lights up when faced with the possibility of loss. This is why the power of non-contact works. Not because it manipulates, but because it restores balance. Because it breaks the routine of habit and forces the other to feel your absence. When you stop writing, you're not disappearing. You're letting silence work for you. You are allowing the other to confront the void you leave. And that void, if you have been present with intensity and authenticity, will never be neutral. It will be a void that weighs. Controlled absence is the opposite of escape. Escape is born of fear. Absence is born of power. Those who flee escape from pain. Those who consciously detach themselves create space for clarity. Because when there is too much closeness, perception distorts. When you are too close, you are no longer seen. Only in distance can the other measure your value. The woman who tests you doesn't stop until she feels the distance. Because only then does she understand that your energy is not infinite. That you are not willing to stay if respect is lacking. That your calm has a limit, and that limit displaces her because it makes her understand that you are not in her power. Non-contact is the loudest silence there is. It is saying without saying, "I am not punishing you. I am giving you the space to understand who I am." And it works because it reverses the dynamic. As long as you're the one pursuing, she reacts. But when you withdraw calmly and with dignity, the energy reverses. Her mind, accustomed to your presence, begins to fill the silence with questions. Why doesn't she look for me? Have she found someone else? Or maybe she's truly stopped caring? Every question is a sign of power, not because you're making her suffer, but because you're forcing her to reflect. And reflection is the most uncomfortable thing for those accustomed to control. No contact only works if it's clean. It's useless if you use it as revenge. It's useless if you use it in anger. It only works if it comes from a real calm, from a sincere detachment, from that inner sentence that says, "I don't need you to feel complete." Your absence must have the same energy as your presence. Not a cold escape, but a dignified quiet. Not a wall, but a door closed with respect. And when that's the case, a woman feels it. Because the silence of a centered man is never empty. It is charged with meaning. It is full of peace, of awareness, of a strength that needs no explanation. Many men get the timing wrong. They use silence to punish. They disappear, hoping the other will return out of need. But that is not strength. It is fear disguised as control. True non-contact is not born from the need for the other to return. It is born from the certainty that if he must return, he will do so on his own, without obligation, without fear, without pressure. When you stop reacting and choose silence, you are not losing power. You are gathering it. You are bringing it home within yourself. You are re-entering your energetic space. You are recharging what you had lost. Because every time you react, you give energy. Every time you chase, you lose magnetism. Every time you explain yourself, you diminish your mystery. But every time you remain silent, you grow. Controlled absence makes you a selective presence again. And selectivity is the true essence of value. Because whoever isn't everywhere matters where they appear. There's no need to say anything. Just disappear elegantly. You don't block, you don't erase, you don't write to see if they respond. Simply disappear, like the sea that retreats before returning with a stronger wave. And when you return, if you return, you do so without need. You do so with the calm of someone who has lost nothing, but has simply chosen not to be there for a while. Because the man who knows how to manage his silence is the man who is no longer afraid of solitude. And the man who is no longer afraid of solitude can no longer be manipulated. The strength of non-contact lies not in physical distance, but in energetic distance. You can be in the same room and no longer be there. You can talk to someone and remain invisible, because your mind is elsewhere, at peace, in your center, in your inner domain. And from there, no one can reach you unless you want them to. When you learn this form of silent presence, you understand a profound truth. You don't have to always be available to be loved. You have to be rare. And rarity comes from control, from knowing when to be there and when not to be there, from knowing that sometimes the best way to make yourself heard is not to be heard at all. And when your absence becomes more eloquent than your voice, you have reached a level that few men understand. The level of the man who doesn't speak to be noticed, but who, even in silence, cannot be forgotten. Sooner or later, he always comes back. Not because you forced him, not because you made him feel guilty, but because he sensed your absence. And that absence, when it's real, is like an echo that never fades. It returns when you least expect it, with a casual message, a photo, a pointless question. Sometimes with a pretext, other times with a smile. But behind that gesture, there's always the same thing. He's testing whether you're still the same man. He wants to understand if the calm you had was real or just a strategy. And that's where everything comes to the fore. Because many men, right at that moment, crumble. They open the message anxiously, reply immediately, become available again as if nothing had happened. And in that instant, everything they had built up dissolves. Not because they responded, but because of how they did it. With need, with emotion, with haste. The man who has worked on himself doesn't react. He breathes. He looks at the message. He feels the temptation to respond immediately, but he doesn't. Not out of pride, but out of clarity. He knows that every action has energy, and that his first response after the silence must bring the same calm that made him attractive. When she returns, you mustn't ignore her, but you mustn't welcome her as if nothing had happened either. You must observe her. See if she's come back to reconnect, or just to make sure you're still there. Because most of the time, she doesn't come back for love. She comes back to check in. She wants to verify if your strength was real. And if you respond immediately, you confirm that it wasn't. The secret is this: respond calmly, but with detachment, with that lightness that says, "I'm fine, even without you." There's no need to be cold. You need to be full, because when a man is full, he doesn't need to compensate with emotions. His voice stays low, his words remain simple, his tone remains peaceful. And the woman senses it. She senses that you're not pretending. that there's no anger, no revenge, no need to impress her, just presence. The most powerful thing you can do when she comes back is not to try to pick up where you left off. You don't have to continue the story. You have to start a new one. You don't have to remind her of what she's lost. You have to show her who you've become. Because if you return to the same emotional point, you'll lose again. But if you stay in your new equilibrium, everything changes. She'll notice that you're different, that your calm isn't an act but a condition, that your voice doesn't seek but welcomes, that your energy doesn't beg but observes. And that, for a woman, is disconcerting, because most men, when she comes back, beg for a second chance, not you. You are the possibility. You don't need her to come back to feel whole, and precisely for this reason, she'll want to stay. For a Stoic, a return isn't a victory. It's a final test. It's the moment when life asks you, have you really changed, or was it just a phase? And your answer isn't in words. It's in the rhythm, in the calm with which you respond, in the time you let pass before responding, in the absence of explanations, justifications, forced emotions. You can say a lot with little. A simple sentence, said with poise, is worth 1,000 speeches. I'm fine. It's nice to hear from you. That's enough. No, I missed you. No, why didn't you write to me before? Just calm, cleanliness, strength. Because he who doesn't ask, gets. He who doesn't chase is followed. He who doesn't explain is understood. And if she senses you're different, she'll look at you with new eyes, because women don't fall in love with what they understand, but with what they feel. And calm, when it's true, is heard more than any word. But remember, a return isn't always a sign of love. Sometimes it's just an echo, a reflection of what you left in her, and you must know how to recognize it. Not everything that returns deserves to be welcomed. A strong man doesn't close doors, but decides who can enter. And that decision, made calmly and clearly, is pure power, because there is nothing more attractive than a man who isn't afraid to take back what he's lost. When she returns and finds you stable, her mind splits in two. On one side, the desire to win you back. On the other, the fear of no longer being able to control yourself. And between these two forces, respect is born. Respect that you can't buy, you can't demand, you can't impose. You can only deserve it, and you deserve it when, even when faced with her return, you remain the same. No longer cold, no longer distant, just more present. Because true strength isn't in making her return. It's in knowing that, even if she doesn't, you are still at peace. And when a man achieves that peace, he becomes what no woman can replace, a solid presence. A man who doesn't belong to the game, but to the silence that dominates it. And in that silence, everything that needs to return, returns on its own. The need for approval is the root of almost all male weaknesses. Not fear, not anger, not jealousy. The need to be seen, accepted, validated. It's that invisible desire that makes you adapt, that pushes you to change your tone, to say what you want to be liked, to hide your truth so as not to lose someone. Yet, the more you seek approval, the more you lose respect. Because those who seek approval place their value in the hands of others. And nothing is less attractive than a man who isn't the guardian of his own self-esteem. The Stoic mind works the opposite way. It doesn't seek validation, it seeks centering. It doesn't need to be understood, it needs consistency. It doesn't ask, do you still love me? It says, I'm staying true to who I am. The real man doesn't measure his value based on reactions. He doesn't measure it based on silence, attention, messages read or ignored. He measures it in his own calm, in the way she manages to remain at peace even when she receives nothing in return. When you learn not to seek approval, something extraordinary happens. You become unpredictable, not because you play, but because you don't depend. And those who don't depend cannot be manipulated. She can love you, she can ignore you, she can test you, but you always remain the same. Not out of arrogance, but out of mastery. because you've understood that your identity is not measured by the other, but by how you respond to yourself. The Stoic male mind is like a silent fortress. It doesn't need walls because it is built within. It doesn't try to block the world because it knows the world can't enter without permission. The need for approval always arises from emptiness. An emptiness that modern man fills with attention, validation, likes, messages, approval. But the Stoic mind doesn't try to fill the emptiness. It observes it. It accepts it. It builds its own peace within it, because it understands that freedom comes not from possessing, but from not needing. Every time you ask yourself, "What will she think of me?" you're giving away power. Every time you change what you'd say to please, you're betraying yourself. Every time you censor yourself for fear of losing, you're already losing. The Stoic mind doesn't seek to be loved. It seeks to be real, because it knows that love without authenticity is just a fragile contract between two fears. When you stop seeking approval, true attraction begins. Because a woman doesn't respect those who chase her. She respects those who don't change pace to chase her. She respects those who stay true to their own direction. And that direction is what defines your masculine energy. A man without direction becomes unstable. An unstable man becomes anxious. An anxious man becomes easily manipulated. But a man with a clear direction, who doesn't get lost in the emotions of others, becomes the center of gravity of the relationship. He doesn't revolve around her. It's she who, unconsciously, begins to revolve around him. Not because you control it, but because your energy becomes a point of reference. Every time you react, it leads. Every time you stand still, it leads your presence. This is how power is reversed, without ever taking a step too far. The Stoic mind isn't afraid of solitude, because it knows that solitude is the test of identity. It's there that you discover who you really are, without filters, without spectators, without applause. And when you learn to be alone, you no longer need to please. Pleasure becomes a consequence, not a goal. Women perceive this difference immediately. There's a different energy in a man who asks for nothing. He's calmer, deeper, more mysterious, and above all, freer. The man who doesn't seek approval isn't cold. He's complete. He doesn't react out of need. He responds out of choice. And every choice he makes is coherent, stable, and thoughtful. When you speak, your words don't tremble. When you look, your gaze doesn't search. When you love, your love doesn't beg. This is the heart of the Stoic mind, to love without depending, to give without emptying yourself, to stay without holding back. Because true strength lies not in possessing, but in not being possessed. When you free yourself from the need for approval, the world changes shape. Nothing scares you anymore, because nothing can take away what's inside you. Judgment doesn't touch you. Absence doesn't hurt you. Rejection doesn't break you. Everything flows, but you remain, and remaining is the highest sign of dominance. Being the center of gravity doesn't mean dominating the other. It means your energy doesn't move for anyone. It means you no longer lose control just because something doesn't go your way. It means your mood, your calm, your peace no longer depend on who stays or who leaves. From that point on, you're no longer in the game. You are the game. She can love you or leave. She can come closer or disappear. But your frequency remains the same. And this disorients her because she's used to men who change moods based on her attention. Not you. You stay centered, immutable, like a mountain that doesn't respond to the wind. And there you understand that the greatest freedom is not to stop loving, but to stop needing love to define you. When you reach this state of mind, everything becomes simpler. Words lose power. Emotions are purified. Time slows down. And every gesture becomes more authentic, fuller, more true. You are no longer reacting. You are in presence. And presence, when calm and complete, becomes the most powerful weapon a man can possess. You no longer have to seek approval, because you are already approved by yourself. Calm, if it is true, doesn't seduce immediately. At first it disorients her. It confuses her. It even irritates her, because it is different from everything she knows. It is an energy that doesn't respond, doesn't compete, doesn't justify itself. And in a world where everyone is trying to win, calm almost seems like a provocation. It observes you. It makes jokes to test you. It moves away to see if you follow it. It challenges you to measure your solidity. But you don't move. You don't react. You don't change your tune. And slowly, something inside her begins to change. At first, it's curiosity. She wonders why you don't react like the others. Why you don't get agitated, defend yourself, try to explain. She looks at you and feels a calm she doesn't understand, but that attracts her. Then comes frustration, because calm makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability, for a mind accustomed to control, is both irresistible and annoying. She doesn't know what to expect from you, and for this very reason, she thinks of you more than expected. It's at this point that the invisible transformation occurs. Her subconscious begins to reverse roles. You were the one being tested. Now you are the one being observed. You were the one reacting. Now you are the one provoking reflection. Calm isn't just a behavior. It's a biological language. The body perceives it as safety. The breath feels it as stability. The heart recognizes it as protection. And everything within her, even if she'll never admit it, relaxes. True calm isn't cold. It's warm, deep, enveloping. It's that presence that needs no words to be felt. It's the feeling that you can remain even when everything around you collapses. And when she senses it, a part of her most ancient instinct is activated, the part that seeks refuge, not possession. Many men believe that attraction comes from charisma, charm, beauty. But in reality, it comes from peace. Peace is magnetic because it is rare, because it communicates, I don't need you to be whole. And this message, for a woman, is like a melody she can't stop listening to. Calm becomes attraction because it strikes chords that no other energy can. It's not fire, it's gravity. It doesn't burn, it attracts. It doesn't shout, it convinces. And over time, that calm begins to change his behavior. He speaks with more respect. He listens to you more attentively. He moderates his words. Because he senses, even if he doesn't understand it rationally, that your energy cannot be treated like that of others. True calm commands respect without asking for it, because it communicates mastery. And mastery is the highest form of masculine strength. There's a precise moment when she understands that something has changed, when she realizes she can no longer hurt you, that her weapons no longer work, that her silence doesn't agitate you, that her distance doesn't make you react, that her words don't make you raise your voice. And in that moment, true attraction is born, the kind that doesn't depend on the body, but on energy. You have become the fixed point, and what is stable inevitably attracts what is wavering. She doesn't understand what's happening to her. She observes you, challenges you again, but inside she feels that the calm you emanate is the only thing that makes her feel truly safe. Calm is proof that you are not seeking power over her, but over yourself. And paradoxically, that's precisely what gives you power over her, because those who can control themselves cannot be controlled by anyone. Calm becomes attraction because it says everything the ego cannot. He says, I'm not afraid of losing you. I don't need to change to please you. I can stay, but I can also leave. I don't depend on you, and for that very reason, I respect you. Every time you remain calm in an emotional situation, you are teaching something, not with words, but with your energy. You are showing that love can exist without fear, that presence can exist without anxiety, that strength can exist without noise. And that lesson, once learned, is never forgotten. From that moment on, even if he distances himself, even if he tries to ignore you, he will carry with him the memory of your calm, and every time he meets someone new, he will compare them to you, with your presence, with your voice, with your stability. And he will discover that few men can hold a candle to that, because true calm is inimitable. You can't fake it, you can't copy it, you can only become that calm. And that's when you understand the secret. The most powerful attraction arises not when you try to impress, but when you stop trying. When you don't try to prove, but to be. When you don't want to please, but to stay true to your essence. She senses it, recognizes it, and without wanting to, begins to pursue you, not physically, but energetically. Because calm is the language of silent power, and silent power is the most irresistible thing there is. Authority isn't imposed, it radiates. It isn't achieved with your voice, but with energy. It isn't earned by shouting, but by remaining calm when everyone else is losing their minds. True respect comes from how you handle yourself, not how you handle others. And a woman senses this immediately. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how intelligent or charming you are. She listens to the tone, the rhythm, the vibration you transmit. It's an invisible language, older than words, that communicates only one thing, whether you're in charge or not. And I'm not talking about commanding someone else. I'm talking about inner command. The difference between someone who seeks respect and someone who is naturally respected lies precisely there. Those who seek respect ask for it. Those in authority don't have to ask for anything. They get it because their energy speaks for them. Emotional authority is what distinguishes the impulsive male from the man who leads. The former shouts, reacts, explains, defends himself. The latter watches, breathes, decides. His calm is not passivity. It is measured strength. It is the clearest sign that fear no longer commands him. Every word he utters carries weight because it is not casual. Every gesture is deliberate. Every silence is a declaration. Emotional authority is not rigid. It is stable. It is the strength that comes from mastery, not control. It is knowing that you can raise your voice, but choose not to. That you can react, but decide to remain firm. And that choice, that invisible mastery over yourself, is what creates automatic respect. Because those who are able to manage their emotions transmit security to those around them. And security is what everyone seeks, even those who test you, even those who seem to oppose you. A woman may challenge you with words, but deep down she observes only one thing: how calm you remain, how slow your breathing remains, how constant your energy remains. And every time you remain stable, her subconscious registers a precise message: I can trust you. Emotional authority is not domination. It is a calming presence. It is the ability to maintain peace within you even when there is war around you. It is not something you fake. You cannot imitate it. You cannot study it in books. It comes only from experience, discipline, and silence. Every time life tests you and you choose calm, your authority grows. Every time you resist the temptation to explain yourself, your energy consolidates. Every time you don't react to an insult, you strengthen your field, and eventually, without even realizing it, you become a man who no longer needs to defend himself, because those who meet you immediately sense one thing: they cannot move you. This is invisible authority. It is the presence that does not demand, but receives. It doesn't demand, but it attracts. It doesn't impose, but it influences. There's power in those who have nothing left to prove, because demonstration is born of insecurity. And insecurity, even if you mask it well, has a smell that can be perceived. But true calm has no smell. It's neutral, clean, pristine. It's like standing before a mountain. It doesn't threaten you, but commands respect. This is what you must become: a presence that doesn't need to explain itself. When you enter a room, you don't have to speak louder than the others. Your manner is enough. Your relaxed body, your straight shoulders, your steady gaze. Every small gesture communicates one thing: I don't need to win to be strong. And that calm, that subtle self-control, has a powerful psychological effect. Because the woman doesn't feel judged, she doesn't feel dominated, she feels contained. It's the rarest and most sought-after sensation there is. Because a man who knows how to contain without controlling is a man who has overcome the need for power. and only those who don't seek power become truly powerful. Emotional authority is the silent language of inner leaders, those who don't seek to convince, but simply convince with their consistency. You don't have to change your voice. You don't have to play a role. You don't have to feign calm. You have to become calm. You have to build it within yourself until it becomes your new nature. Because trained calm isn't fake. It's chosen. It's what happens when you stop living in reaction and start living in observation. Every time you choose to breathe before responding, you're building authority. Every time you don't chase the perfect explanation, you're building strength. Every time you choose silence over sarcasm, you're building respect. And when your energy changes, everything else changes with it. People start treating you differently, not because you said something, but because they sense you're impossible to destabilize. The man who doesn't get agitated, who doesn't try to please, who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg for attention conveys a precise feeling. He is the center, and whoever is the center must not move. It's the rest that revolves around him. When you reach this level of silent authority, you no longer need strategies. You don't have to respond with clever phrases. You don't have to make calculated moves. Just be. Your silence becomes teaching. Your calm becomes magnetism. Your energy becomes order. And whoever enters your field senses it immediately. They can no longer allow themselves to bring chaos, because your presence alone sets the rules. There is a point where everything changes. A point where you are no longer driven by need, nor held back by fear, where you no longer try to control love, but you also don't let it control you. That's where true calm is born. Not the apparent calm, made of forced silences, but the profound calm, which flows beneath the skin like a steady current. Calm is the highest form of freedom, because it's the only state in which nothing and no one can touch you. Not because you isolate yourself, but because you no longer react. You've understood that everything that touches you only happens if you allow it. You've learned that words are not chains, that silences are not weapons, that emotions are not commands. A truly calm man is not apathetic. He's present. He sees everything, hears everything, but chooses what flows through him. He doesn't let himself be swept away. It's the river that decides where to flow, not the rain that falls aimlessly. Here's the secret. Those who can no longer be manipulated are not the ones who win every argument, but the ones who no longer need to argue about it. They don't try to convince, they don't try to clarify, they don't try to explain. They let people show who they are. And that's it. Because calm is also clarity. It's seeing the dynamics without getting trapped in them. It's understanding intentions without reacting to them. It's letting the truth reveal itself without trying to force it. The man who can no longer be manipulated is the one who has stopped negotiating with fear. They don't fear loss. They don't fear silence. They don't fear solitude. And those who fear nothing cannot be controlled. Manipulation thrives on two elements: need and fear. Without them, it dies. And when you stop needing and stop fearing, you become free forever. She can try with the same weapons, silence, distance, guilt, but they no longer work, because now you see them for what they are, tools of emotional control. And instead of reacting, you smile inside, not with superiority, but with understanding. You understand that it's not malice, it's just insecurity. You understand that every manipulation is a disguised request for love. And when you see that, you no longer get angry. You simply don't budge. This is true strength, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that cannot be dominated. And from that point on, you no longer seek relationships to feel complete. You seek connections that resonate with your peace. You no longer seek burning intensity, but a presence that nourishes. You don't seek someone who completes you. You seek someone who respects you. Because calm doesn't eliminate love. It purifies it. It frees it from all games, all trials, all fears. And when you love from that level, love no longer destroys you. It builds you. You become the man who never gets lost, who can navigate any chaos without changing frequency, who can see the drama without entering into it, who can stand amidst the noise and remain silent within. And in that silence, the highest truth is born. There's no need to control anything. Whoever must stay, stays. Whoever must leave, leaves. Your task is not to hold back, but to stay centered. This is absolute freedom. To live without the need for confirmation. To love without losing yourself. To walk without fear of emptiness. Calm is a power that goes unnoticed, but is felt. It is the strength of those who never raise their voice, but lower the voices of others. It is the presence that asks for nothing, yet obtains everything. The man who can no longer be manipulated is no longer a participant in the dynamic. He is the mirror. He brings out the true face of the other. He reveals the intention behind every gesture. It doesn't react, it reflects. And in its reflection, many cannot bear the truth. But those who do, those who choose to remain before that energy, are changed forever. Because calm is contagious. It transforms those who observe it, slows those who challenge it, heals those who recognize it. And once you've found it, you can no longer go back, not because you can't, but because you no longer want to live in the noise. You understand that true power is not doing, but being. That true strength is not reacting, but choosing. That true freedom is not in control, but in letting go. And when you get there, you become untouchable, not in body, but in spirit. You can lose everything, but you never lose yourself, because you have built within yourself the only kingdom that no one can destroy, the kingdom of sovereign calm. And in that kingdom, there is no manipulation, no fear, no chains, only silence, only presence, only peace.